We are talking about the resumption of school vis-a-vis writing of GCE. The question is, what is keeping parents from sending their children to school? Is it the fact that the parents don't want to send their children to school, or is it the fact that the students don't want to go to school? Earlier on, I told you that we'll be joined by the regional delegate for secondary education, Mr. Harper Johnson, and time good enough for us to introduce him. Mr. Harper Johnson, you're welcome, the boss of the Southwest Region Secondary Education.
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis, for giving me this opportunity once more to talk on this very aching issue.
We know that you were welcome with a baptism of fire from the strike action. Did you envisage this?
No. I was welcome with baptism of fire. I think it's even more than baptism of fire, because fire has a very short limit. It burns off and stops. But this is a fire that has remained internal.
Okay, Southwest Regional Delegate for Secondary Education. Earlier, I asked the teacher here, and he affirmed it to me. Is the exam going to hold, the GC?
Sure. We have done everywhere at all the times to dispel the fear that the GCE will not be held. We have done everywhere to assure students that the certificate for which they are going to write will be valid. That is a fact. And you'll be surprised that I am coming for this meeting very late. This is because we were working on more practical modalities to make sure that the exam is conducted free and fair, and hitch-free of any problem. The exam, the Minister of Secondary Education has done everything to assure students that the exam is going to be held and the certificate will be valid. This, nobody should doubt it anymore.
Thank you, Regional Delegate for Secondary Education. This message, I think you are better, we are well placed to answer this. Good evening, sir. I believe that the teacher is saying so because he is a government teacher. Mr. Esa Crisito, this one they are referring to you. He is a government teacher and not a student too. So he wouldn't feel that, he wouldn't feel what the students are going through. At this point in time, 99% of schools in Anglophone part of Cameroon are still closed. And how do we expect the certificate to be valid? Insecurity everywhere. People are still expected to go to school. Mr. Regional Delegate, this person is saying that the schools are closed, but you did a tour on Monday, and I believe that can you give us the reason date of your tour? What you
when you say schools are closed, it's an exaggeration. It means you don't have the eyes. Some of the schools are closed, those that do not want to come to school, but people are going to school all the same. We can only say that schools are timid, but not that the schools are closed. And I think that those who like their certificate, those who want to go to school, are going to school, and we cannot deprive them from writing and getting their certificates.
Let me just add to the fact that
the person says schools are closed, I doubt, because when you go around Moliko, Moya, and the rest, Mr. Kizito?
Yeah, because I was in school today, I taught today, so I don't. Secondly, let me stand by cancelling the fact that viewer just said I'm talking because I'm a government teacher. I'm not a government teacher, so that's let me just clarify that in the first place. I'm not a government teacher, and secondly, that's an overstatement to say that schools are closed. Like the boss just said here, if they say that the schools are timid, we understand, but schools are not closed. Schools are going on. Children are going to school.
What will be the quality of the certificate, Mr. Regional Delegate?
I would like to tell you that for those who say because students have stayed away for 3 months, the certificates are not going to be qualitative, they are misled. You would first of all know that most of our students start their GCE syllabus as from Form 3. From Form 3 to the end of first term, most of them would have got what is necessary for the GCE. And you will be surprised that most of the students who are now currently going to school now in the region are registered elsewhere. How do we say the students are not there? The very parents who are telling students that they are not going to school now are the very parents who have taken children to other parts of the country. I am sure, we know as a teacher, I know one thing. By the end of first term, many students are already qualified for the GCE. And the strike took a very hard toll on Southwest only after first term. So most of the students were already qualified to go in for their certificate exams.
Our regional delegate, before we talk about other things, let me quickly ask you this. Apart of those who are going for certificate exams, we have the Form 4, Form 1, Form 2, and all those from other classes, lower seats. We know that second term was still timid to those who did not write the second term examination. those who end of year courses were not given in terms of the first term. What will become of that situation? If they are to resume classes now effectively, will they be promoted, or is there going to be an extension or a kind of catch-up classes to give them the balance sheet that they need for next year GCE at their level, because those in Form 4 are going to Form 5 next year?
Yes, given the situation we have in the two Anglophone regions, it is difficult for us to sit here and give a categorical answer to what we are asking for. I know many students the doors are still open for students to come to school and make up, but we have a meeting that we could discuss with minimal people and with the boss of education being present to look at how the problem of promotion of students could be solved. That is why part of the meeting, part of the agenda of the meeting on the 25th in Yaoundé will be to look at all these issues.
Delegate Regional, we have a situation where teachers, the Teachers Trade Union officially called off the strike and officially went on air and asked parents to trust the government, to trust their union and send their children to school. But we still have teachers who are technically on strike. What I mean by technically is that they'll go on and teach every day photosynthesis, every day photosynthesis, every day photosynthesis. What is going to be done by the government? What's the government doing in order to crack down some of these bad practices which is spoiling our nation, Cameroon?
Yes, I noticed it when I sent out a team of inspectors to go to the field to find out what was happening in the field. We noticed that many teachers were indirectly promoting the strike, even though they have called it off. And the Minister of Secondary Education has come out with a decision trying to adjust the situation. What he has done now is that he wants to ensure that teachers who are not in school are not only in school, but they are teaching effectively. The first thing they do is that as a teacher in school, it's not enough for you to come and sit come to school, fill a form that you are in school, because they were no longer filling the text, they were only filling a form. So what the teachers now do is that the teachers must go to class, fill the record of workbook, the logbook, even if there is no student in class. For quite some time now, we are no longer interested in asking principals who is in school and who is not in school. The only way to be sure that the teacher is in school is to get to his school, look at the record of workbook, and see whether the teacher has taught. And that is the new instruction from the ministry. And that is the new perimeter we will use now to assess the teachers who are coming to school and those who are not coming. Because when you come and sit in the classrooms or sit in the hall, when you come and sit in the staff room without going to class, you are not teaching, you are not working. You are also promoting the strike. And I want to say, we have always said to talk to teachers. If you come to class like you have said and teach one topic over and over, you are discouraging the student. And the next day, the student will not have the interest to come to school because he will see nothing new that he will learn from you. This is one of the ways. We see there are so many ways. I think we are monitoring our teachers, and we are sure that for those who are going to school now, a bulk of them are doing a good job.
This one read from Mr. Kizak. You want to reflect to the delegate, and we know he's busy. Let's just briefly go to him.
Well, I would just want to compliment what he has said. We have observed the situation as well. I have personally observed the situation in some cases where teachers go to school and keep repeating the same topic. Now at that juncture it becomes so boring for the student, discouraging the student. So that is one of the ways through which we can fight this ill practice, as the boss just said. Teachers should be encouraged, to move forward, to go forward, not to be, keeping themselves down in a particular topic. It bores and discourages the student.
This one read, good evening. We would like to know when the practical will begin, because we hear over the news that the dates have been extended. If so, when? If so, can we know when? Can we know when the practical will begin and when the theory will begin? The boss of the region in terms of secondary education.
What the minister has done, has from the last decision he took, from the last press release, is that schools have been the exams have been postponed, taken ahead by 2 weeks, meaning therefore that practicals by this text was supposed to start on 15th of May.
Okay.
around 15th of May. From after that, we have not had any other contrary text. So for us, practicals will start around that time. And the written part is postponed correspondingly 2 weeks too.
It begins actually on the 12th of June. The written part starts
okay,
on the 12th of June.
Why
the practicals begin on the 15th of May.
Okay, meaning that it was supposed to...
Normally the GC, the written part was supposed to begin on the 29th of May. It has been shifted 2 weeks forward to the 12th of June.
Okay, if you are a student, meaning that if you had the first paper you were supposed to write from the 15th?
No, the GC board, I think the GC board is working on the new timetable. The timetable will be made available to the students soonest.
Okay, Delegate Regional, a quick on this one. I want to find out, looking at the Northwest and Southwest region, all were in the same crisis. The North and Southwest region, the same crisis, and the same crisis plaguing, that is the reluctant nature of some parents to send their children to school. We know others have started sending their children to school because the governor of the Southwest region, Benal Kaya Bilai, has provided enough security together with the divisional officer of Boya, Kwamokam Paul. They provide enough security for students to go to school within their region and their division. I want to find out, is the students from the Southwest region going to write the same exam, the same GC as those from Yaoundé, the same paper? That is when we're talking about the same question we shared to them. If we look at the fact that those in Yaoundé had their education flowed to the end from September till now.
Sure, the students are all going to write the same exam. It's the same examination body that has said the questions. There is no difference between if you are in Kusuri, if you are here in Boya, if you are in Baminda, all of you are going to answer the same question. And that is why His Excellency, the Minister of Secondary Education, had decided to encourage the issue of teachers teaching longer hours than before, to be able to catch up with those who are going to school regularly, because of the much time that had been lost. And extending the hours of time, making Saturday a school day, and even cancelling second term holidays indirectly by allowing the examination students to go to school continuously. These are all measures to make sure that the students in the two regions, Southwest, Northwest, try to cope with the rest of the country.
Delegate, we know that you are the boss of secondary education for the Southwest region. We know that you have been working hand in glove with the governor of the Southwest region, His Excellency Benal Kalia Bilai. We know that the divisional officer of Boya, you'll be working hand in glove with him in order to ensure that security is guaranteed at the level of your principals. Want to find out, are your principals collaborating?
Sure. For those who do not collaborate, they fall out of the system. We have come to a system. We have come to a time when, by your action, by what you say, you must learn to know what to do. You must learn to make sure that our target now is to bring our students back to class. The principal is there, a principal because the students are there. The teacher is there, a teacher because the students are there. And every effort will be made at helping the student who is our target. We're all working towards them. And if you become a deviant, just know that the hammer of the ministry will be on your head.
Good evening. I wish to know whether the children going back to school now will make them will cope with their exam, and others, will they be able to cover up with their work? Mr. Ezra Kizito, you are a teacher. Before going to the delegate,
Mr. Tajamis, I want to give the parents out there basic reasons why at least the examination children should go to school. Now, just the fact that they have spent resources in getting the students registered to take the exams means that they have that opportunity to let those children go and take the exams. Why? Because one, education is a fundamental right that is enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I think that's Article 26 sub 1 states that clearly, that education is a fundamental right. At the same time, freedom of expression and opinion is a right. By that same Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19 of that declaration states that freedom of expression is supposed to be permitted. Now, it is true the teachers tabled problems which led to the strike action. Now, the problems of the teachers were handled by the government. And I want to explain here to the parents out there and the students who are ignorant of the fact that what is happening is when the ad hoc committee headed by Professor Paul Gogomo met in Bamenda with the teachers trade union, they agreed on all the issues raised by the teachers. There were 18 points. Now, the solutions to the problem raised by the Anglophone teachers were supposed to be solved in 3 timings, meaning that they had what to call the immediate solutions, the middle and the long-term solutions. Now, those of the immediate solutions, I want to bet you that
were even made before the deadline, like the redeployment of teachers.
One of them was the fact that there had to be redeployment of teachers. That's Anglophone teachers teaching in Francophone school should be removed and sent to Francophone or to Anglophone schools. This is the regional delegate can testify.
Delegate, has it been done effectively?
You know that before, like he is saying, I was a member of the ad hoc committee. And before the ad hoc committee went to work, the Minister of Secondary Education had already started fulfilling some of the conditions, especially for teachers who could not teach in their first foreign language. That is, if you are teaching a subject that was not, they were teaching a subject for Francophones who were teaching in Anglophone schools in English, who could not master the language, it was realized, that was the first point in the discussion in the ad hoc committee, that this resulted in very poor results in our school because there was no communication between the learners and the teachers. And before even the ad hoc met, the Minister of Secondary Education had transferred most of them out. And right now, they are still fishing out those who cannot teach well because of the language problem. So what he's saying here is that most of the conditions have been met, and some of those that were not immediately met, a time limit was given, and the time limit expanded up to 2018. So we cannot, I say, quite much has been done already.
Well, okay, Mr. Kizito will be coming back on that. We spoke with the divisional officer of Boya, Kwamo Paul, regarding the back to school and his take on this. We'll be giving you in a couple of minutes, but just to remind you that you can communicate to us on the numbers that are on your screen. We have the boss of the Southwest region in terms of secondary education. You will have him here, so you are privileged to ask your question directly to him if you find doubt as to the resumption of classes, and if you are a student, to find out if the measures that have been put in place to facilitate your learning. We have the boss, we have Mr. Ezra Kizito Mbom here in the studio. You can communicate to us on the numbers still on your screen. What is keeping students at home? What is keeping students at home? The confessional school state their doors are widely open and waiting for parents to send their students to school. We're coming back on that view after this from the divisional officer in terms of back to school.
Great. Well, the first thing is to I would say to encourage those who have resumed schools actually, because we understand that they have come to realize that they need to secure their future. And of course, we have been canvassing for them to come back to school. We have even laid more emphasis on these examination classes. And we also observe that they are, by so doing, respecting the ministerial note of service that has made possible the catch-up classes. For those who are still dragging their legs, I think they should emulate the example of their other comrades who have decided to resume classes. Because time waits for nobody, and it is their own future. And in case they are being even held back at home by their parents, I would like to tell them that some of them are mature. Some of them are 18, even more. So they have the penal majority, have the civilian majority, meaning that they can reason. So they can take upon themselves to take their future at hand, by, if need be, even disobey to their parents. I'm sorry to say that, but not all orders are legal, are even legitimate. So if they are being taught by their parents not to, or asked by their parents not to go to school, in fact, I think they should be prepared to oppose their parents, because it is their future that matters. And to these parents, I want to say that the students themselves, and I'm saying it, looking at the parents and telling them that if if you dare block your child from not going to school, I'm afraid tomorrow you may have to answer to this child. I'm afraid tomorrow you may have nothing to tell him. And I'm afraid again tomorrow you may turn back to him in your rainy days maybe, and be expecting one or two things. And above everything, you know, every person has the key of his life, at least more than 50%. You have done your part by delivering your child, by putting him to bed, by starting to do what you could do for him. But let him also now achieve the rest. If not, you will have gone halfway. Because if you have sent your child to school up to a level where the child would like to continue and you stop him, so what would be the result of all your efforts? So you have labored in vain. So, my dear parents, this is the sound message I want to send to you. That let us forget even about, I'm not saying that building of a nation is not that important, but the nation starts with a household. It starts with individual. So you first, try on your own, and then you think of the others. So please, bit by bit, you build a nation. But the bit by bit start with household, with individuals. So do your part, and then the whole community will be fine, and the nation as well.
At a brief break, if you are just joining us, you're watching Faces, and the program on today we are looking at back to school. Here in the studio we have the boss of the secondary education for the Southwest region, Mr. Apa Johnson, and we equally have Mr. Eswa Kizitombom. Sir, regional delegate, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We know you're a busy man. You've been running left and right these days.
It is very busy. In fact, indeed very busy, because our extra strength has been taxed.
Thank you, Mr. Eswa Kizitombom. Always busy.
Yeah, always busy. You know, when exams are approaching like this, we are always busy trying to make sure that we meet up with by satisfying.
And we want to equally extend a congratulations and thank you to the boss of the Cameroon General Certificate of Education, Dr. Humphrey Kimamonono, for, he's been thing and thing to see that GCE actually meet up with its standard internationally. Good evening, Mr. Journalist. I wish to ask what happens with students of overseas offering arts and science and have not yet attended field work and practical science. What happens to them? Because it's left barely a month. So please tell us, Mr. Delegate. Delegate, this one is addressed to you.
Well, the students upper sixth who have done the various things, the academic year has not yet come to an end. Even the month, much can still be done. We should not give up hope. What we're doing is that to call the students come back to class so that all this thing can be done within a short time possible. But when students stay away, these things cannot be done. You cannot do full work while students are not there. So what we're doing is that, what we're asking is that students should come back to class so that everything should be done smoothly.
What do you think is keeping students away from classes? What do you think is keeping students away from classes? Communicate to us on the number on your screen, Mr. Eswa Kizito. Before I go back to the boss, you want to react to that?
Yeah, talking about the field work, I think we earlier discussed on that. Now, I said field work does not take a month, as I initially said. Field work is a matter of 1 or 2 days maximum, and then you go back to the house now based on what the teacher will ask you to do. You develop your field trip report or your field work report and present to him or her.
Delegate, what will be the quality of education in Southwest region, because you are the boss of Southwest region? What will be the quality? Because when we see students don't go with their uniforms as frequent as possible, haircut, they don't shave their hair as frequent as possible, and is discipline, or has discipline been ensured during this 1 month period?
For discipline, we have no doubt. You have already made allusion to it that the governor of the Southwest has done much to ensure that in every school there is the maximum discipline that can ensure students give students free access into their classes. For discipline, I have no fear. You made mention of the quality of education in Southwest. If quality were to be quantified in figure, I would say it's the same 100% we will always have. Students may be staying away, but those students, what is happening is that they don't know what they have in them, and that is what they fear. They stay away. It is just the fear. It may be because they stay away for some time, that is what is causing them to stay away. They should not fear. There is everything. They will still pass the GCE as it is. Like I said here, education is a continuous process. It's not a thing of one day. In fact, some of the science subjects, by the time you come in from 1, the first lesson you teach in from 1, those are the things we are going to face in the GCE. I don't see how a student can miss his 2 terms and believe that he is not fit for the GCE. He is very fit and may still score the A's he is programming to have. So the quality is there.
I'll say I go back to the validity of the certificate, delegate regional. You are here, good enough. Mr. Kizito clarified that, and you earlier did, but for the sake of those who are joining us now for the very first time watching the program, who are tuning in now, I want to find out, are the certificates internationally going to be recognized? Because we know in Cameroon it will be recognized because Cameroon is the set of the GCE, and I want to find out internationally will it still be recognized, because we had a similar situation in the 90s when the 90s we had the political turmoil within the ghost town period. The certificates were recognized, and even those who applied for other further studies, they had their scholarship granted in the 90s. This generation, people are saying that it's not going to be recognized. How true is this assertion as the boss of the Southwest region?
I am sure you have answered the question already. Because if the certificates in the 90s should be recognized, they want this year
we live in a two different era.
No, we want this one to be recognized. It is not somebody who declares a country's certificate invalid. The country has a part in declaring her certificate invalid. And for now, Cameroon has not declared her certificate invalid. The certificates are valid, and I don't see the country declaring them invalid. The Minister of Secondary Education, if we were to look at it logically, just look at the number of students going to school in the 8 regions, including Anglophone students. How would they think that some others who decide to stay away should make the certificate invalid? Quite a good number, a bulk of the country students are going to school. If we were to look at it logically, then what do we think that for a few who stay away, the certificate will not be valid? They will be valid.
Is there something to briefly with the delegate?
Yeah, what I was going to say is that you made mention of the fact that in the 90s we had the same situation. So it's not, I don't know, it's just because, I'm sorry to say, maybe the parents are not well educated on this. This happened in the 1991-92 school year, where this same situation happened. In fact, the ghost town we think we were experiencing.
Because people are saying UNESCO and officially on the website.
That's why we should clarify the parents. Now, the ghost town we're even experiencing now, it's not as compared to what we had in the 1990s. Because in 1991-92, we had ghost town from Monday to Friday, 6 to 6. And which led to economic crisis in the 1990s, which, I mean, from 1986 to 1993 led to serious economic crisis, which eventually led to the devaluation
of the France CFA.
Now, the students still felt that certificates were not going to be recognized. The exams were written. The exams were marked. Results published.
And it was marked around November, December.
Yes, and certificates were recognized worldwide. I have professors today in the university who took that exam in 1992, and today they are professors, they are lecturers. Now, there is this fear which is out there going around saying that UNESCO has cancelled the academy year. Let us clarify that situation now here and clear. Now, UNESCO simply means United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. We all know that. UNESCO is an arm of United Nations Organization. Now, Cameroon is a member of United Nations. Cameroon is a sovereign state. It's an independent state. That should be clear. And therefore, United Nations has no right and does not have that power to impose on Cameroon. UNESCO does not cancel an academia in any country. It does not happen. The sole body which has the responsibility to do that is the government herself. And the minister and the government have come out clearly to explain the fact that the academy year is not blind. The Minister of Basic Education is the chairman, is the chairperson or the president of UNESCO in Cameroon. She has made that clear that the certificate will be recognized. There is nothing like blank.
Mr. Kizito, some pundits will have it that We know, delegate, in university, there's a number of hours you must put in before you write an examination in UB or any university. That lecture 70% or number of hours or this number of hours. But if we see some hours have been lost, can we see catch up in terms of the validity of the certificate?
That is why the need for extra time for students to catch up is essential. That is why Saturday was taken to make up for this time. And that is why the second term holiday was cancelled, because this time has to be made up. In actual fact, a good student which moved to the next class will work up to 900 hours in a year. And that is why the intention is to make sure that as much of this time is cut as possible. The only thing we have is to make sure that students come to class and the hours will be made up for. The more they stay away, the more they continue to lose their hours. So our appeal is that they should come to class and the hours will be made. In fact, if everybody came to class as at the time we call them, by now we will not be talking about losing time anymore.
Many people are saying that before we come to you, fingers are now being pointed to the confessional schools because, delegate, let's look at this situation. Government schools, most have, kickstart, though timidly in some areas. The confessional schools and the lay private officially are yet to kickstart effectively, talk less of effectively. What is to be done to ensure that they kickstart? Because they are on the opinion that their doors remain widely open, waiting for parents to send their children to school. And parents, according to them, are not sending their children to school.
Yes, what we believe is that the confessional schools, especially the confessional schools that have a majority of the big schools in town here, if they took up, the academic year will be smooth. And up to now, they are still telling us, I think it's a game of hide and seek, that their doors are opened, yet students are not coming there. But I want them to take a serious commitment to bring back their school and let the students start their classes. I hear in some of the schools, the private schools, some proprietors have started making up classes for their students in some quarters in town. But this is a timid measure. Why don't you call back the students and teach them in a formal manner? Because what is happening is that they are making the students lose confidence in themselves. Let them give this confidence to students by calling back the students to go to school.
Mr. Isaac Kizito, you want to react briefly?
Yeah, sorry. I want to make mention of the fact that I'm talking now to the parents.
Confessional school says their doors are open?
Yeah, they tell us that their doors are open. They tell us that they are willing to receive the students. But you and I will agree, and we know that the habit of the confessional schools is that before they go on holiday, they make official announcement that the schools should be going on holiday this day. And before they resume, they make a public announcement, even in churches, that on this particular date and day, at this time, we need the students in school for checkup. That has not been done. So they should not be fooling us that they have asked students to come to school.
But Mr. Kizito, the question now they will pose to you is, has any parent sent their children to school like the said, the bureaucrat, and the teacher or the principal tells you go back?
Even the parent has not sent, it's not because the
parents is because the parents have not sent.
No, it's because they have not received that official communication.
Let me come. If I'm a parent, I will send my children, or if my child goes to school, I will send him to school to see if you send him back. Are parents there? They aren't.
The point is that I will stick on that point, that before the students go on holiday, they tell them that we are expecting you back in school on this day. And before this normal school resumption in any other school, you and I will agree that the confessional schools are the first to receive their students based on an official communique between Wednesday to Saturday, based on an official communique which is read in churches and on the radio. But that has not been done. No communique has been read over the radio that the confessional schools are expecting their students back in school this particular day. That has not been done.
Okay, thank you. Delegate, let me come now to you. If we look at the Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, those it is observed, I have observed with strong feelings that when the strike started, those from the urban center took off effectively with the strike. But when the strike was officially called off, those from the urban center relaxed and started school timidly, and those from the suburb took the strike hostage, and principals, over 3 or plus principals, have been chased out from school by villagers. Delegate, can you elaborate on that and tell those in the village what they need to know regarding the resumption?
Yes, it's unfortunate. You know that the suburbs made us proud at the start of the strike. The Southwest took up the strike by less than 20%. And these were mostly schools in town that went on strike. And the suburb was going to school normally till the end of December, 23rd of December, when they went on school, when they went on holidays. Unfortunately, on resumption from first term, when the second term began, it was now the reverse. The thing now went out to the suburb, and the suburb broke down completely, totally. Meanwhile, the people in town became more reasonable and started sending their children to school. This is the unfortunate situation. That is understandable, because you know parents in towns are more educated for the most part. I want to make you know, students are making a very big mistake by staying away from school. Almost all what the government has not refused that Anglophones have a problem. They have not.
The president said it in his traditional end
and
of year speech.
the thing, we don't inspect everything to come at the same time. You are a living witness that just yesterday the internet came. The student in Government Technical Teacher Training College in Kumba almost refused to do their practicals because they said they needed the internet in order for them to do their work. Now internet has come, and I am sure the government has not relented. All other things are coming. Let the students know one thing: it is better for you to get your certificate and have it than to regret tomorrow that because you were misled. This thing we're talking here, the strike will end, the trouble will end. And if you are foolish to destroy yourself now, when the rest of your colleagues will find themselves in the universities or taking very shiny jobs, this future cannot be bleak as it is now, if it is bleak.
This one reads, Mr. Kizito before we react, this one is very interesting. I see a student confused. He said, good evening, delegate. Please, I am a student and I'm not going to school because I doubt if the certificate will be valid in any foreign country. I'm not going to school with full interest because of this reason. UNESCO declared it will not be recognized. So please clarify me. I am ready to go to school no matter the condition, if and only if I know the certificate I get is recognized everywhere I go.
The first thing is I want to assure the student that it is the country that tells you that this certificate we are having is not valid. Most of in the office will receive letters from foreign universities every time to attest for us to give attestations whether the certificate the various students have are valid, whether they did it rightly. It is the country that says that the certificates you are going to take are not valid because of this reason or the other. It is not somebody just sitting outside and declaring that the country, this certificate this year are not valid. And Kizito here has already told you partially why could cause. No country, let me tell you, no country willingly will want the certificate not to be valid, because if you do so, you'll be killing yourself. So Cameroon cannot say their certificate will not be valid. They are doing everything. We are doing everything to make sure that the certificates you take are valid. And why would they not be valid? How would you think if certificates are cancelled, GCE, if the GCE, let me just give you this small analysis. If the GCE certificates are cancelled now, what will happen to those who have been going to their bilingual schools all over the country? What will happen to students who have been going to school regularly all through? Have they not completed their courses?
Yeah.
They have. Then why will you think that your certificate will not be valid? The certificate will be valid. Even if you want to take it to England, you want to take it to London, anywhere, your certificates will be valid.
We have few minutes to go for the program. You can still participate. Very few minutes to go. About 10 minutes to go for the program. The question is, what is holding students back at home? Is it the parents or the teachers or the students themselves, or is it because of fear? The government have made it clear that all measures have been put in place to ensure the security of students. The governor of the Southwest region, to be more precise, His Excellency Bernard Okadia Bilai, has made it clear that security has been heightened in order to make sure that students learn conducively, safe and sound. Not just students, that teachers lives are insured. And the divisional officer of Boya, Kwamukan Paul, equally made it clear that security meetings are constantly holding every day and being evaluated so as to ensure that teachers are protected, students, school properties, be it lay, private, government, are equally protected. What is holding students back at home? Mr. Ezra Kizitombong.
Yeah, I want to say something here. I'm crying for these students because I know the effect of an academic year wasted. Now, 1 year wasted can destroy a child's future in Cameroon or worldwide. Take for example, that child is supposed to take the A levels this year, and because of one situation or the other, the parent refuses that child from taking that certificate. And by the time the child or the student comes next year to take that certificate, 1 year must have already been added in his or her age. And you realize that that 1 year can play negatively on that student as far as public exams are concerned. That 1 year alone can make you, can expel you, can disqualify you from taking any public exam. That is one. Secondly, you have to understand that since you have already registered these students, then some persons are saying that certificate will not be recognized. I think the delegate and myself, we have explained it clearly that UNESCO does not do that. It is a government. Now, there is no risk taking an exam which you have already registered for. There is no risk. Take the exam, pass your exams, keep your certificate in the pocket. Now, we have not refused the fact that Anglophones do not have problems. We have, even the head of state has recognized that fact.
And he said that there's going to be genuine dialogue and it has been ongoing.
And as the delegate has just said, the government has been trying its utmost best in solving those issues. Now, what are we saying?
We just had the internet.
The internet just came back yesterday. What are we saying? Sit in for your exams, take your certificate, keep in your pocket. Now, to fight for your future, you don't need the physical strength, you need the intellectual capacity to fight for your future. I quote, when Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years, he cried and insisted that children should go to school because the best way to fight for your future is through education. During the American War of Independence in the 1600s, children were going to school. They fought the war for 7 years in America against the British, and children were still going to school.
And even in Syria.
Even in Syria, as we speak, children are going to school. I know they have quoted cases that the academic year was blank in Nigeria for 3 years, in Ghana for 3 years. But they should understand that there is a difference between the situation in Cameroon and the situation in Ghana and Nigeria. What is the difference? The difference is that in Nigeria, the whole nation was on strike. In Ghana, the whole nation was on strike. But in Cameroon, just Northwest and Southwest were on strike. I use the word were on strike because the teachers have suspended their strike action. And the 8 other regions were going to school. Besides the fact that the 8 other regions were going to school, in those 8 regions we have in Cameroon, Anglophone students were going to school and are still going to school in those 8 regions. Let me give you a little statistics. Last year in the GCE, we had a total number of 184,000 students who took the GCE. As of this year, over 100,000 students have registered for the GCE already. Meaning that the GCE board has tried to get more than 50% of the students registered. And I don't see why the GCE will not be meeting. So I think that the parents should not be penny wise and pound foolish. What am I saying? Send your children to school, let them have the certificate and keep in their pocket and wait for what comes in the future. If you decide to keep that child in the house today in the name of the fact that the academy will be blank, what if that certificate is eventually recognized publicly as we are seeing? Now I see a situation come September, October 2017 where these decisions that parents are taking now will backfire on them. What am I saying? If you have, let's take a case of 2 students, opposite students. My child and your child, I have decided to send my child to school, and you have decided not to send your own child to school. My child passes the GC, and next year comes September, October, my daughter or son is going to the university. Yours is sitting in the house. What becomes of that your child? That child can retaliate to you, the father. So what I'm saying is that we should try to put, reasoning in front of whatever decision we are taking. Let that child write the exam, keep the certificate in the pocket, and wait for the future.
Nelson Mandela stated that Ubuntu, when he came out from prison, struggling to unify South Africa, which means I am who I am because we are who we are. The head of state translated that the Cameroon is one and indivisible, and a situation affirmed by the commander-in-chief of the Southwest region, Benau Kaliabilai, and other stakeholders that Cameroon is one and indivisible. The government has not refused the fact that there is no problem, that there is an Anglophone problem. They have accepted, and reason why dialogue is ongoing to resolve some of the crises plaguing the region and the nation as a whole. That notwithstanding, we'll be taking on a brief break. When we come back, we'll definitely cut the ice and dot the T's on today's edition of our program. Meantime, you can still participate what you think is holding students back at home. Here in the studio, we have the boss of this region in terms of secondary education. We'll be right back. You're welcome back from that brief break. If you are just joining us, you're watching Faces live from CMTV, Malingo Street, Moliko Boya, where we say entertainment is never enough. If you are just tuning in, a while ago I made mention of the fact that we are talking about back to school, and I gave an editorial that 21st of November the strike started 2016, and the government, through the Prime Minister, head of government, Philemon Yang, created an inter-ministerial ad hoc committee that were to sit, and they sat to look at the grievances of the striking teachers. Virtually, the government struggled and resolved some of the points plagued by the teachers, and all of their educational demands were met, and the government stated that it's still going to do more in order to ensure that their education move on smoothly. That notwithstanding, after the government took the measures, the Teachers State Union on February 4th called off the strike action, officially called off the strike, and enjoined parents to send their children to school. Ever since then, parents within the North and Southwest region have been a little bit reluctant to send their children to school, and confessional schools are saying that their doors and windows remain widely open, waiting for parents to send their children to school, that they were neither consulted nor are they advocating for strike action, that they are a political body, that parents should send their children to school, despite the fact that critics point fingers that they should give a day that that their children should resume classes. The regional delegate for secondary education is here with us in the studio in order to brief you and to give you a full confidence as to the government effort to resolve this crisis. No wonder the Minister of Secondary Education, Jean Enes Gale, during the ongoing FENASCO 8 games in Boya, paid a visit to schools to see the state of affairs of our institution, and the regional delegate have been working tirelessly in order to ensure that the minister's declaration of extension of classes and working hours should be taken into consideration and into full effect. He was received with baptism of fire. That's the regional delegate. He's a newly appointed delegate. Delegate, you're one welcome. We know the heat is on you.
It's on me.
Many say you are the square peg in the square hole, that you were destined.
Well, I thank for those who say so. I think it's a pleasure that I can have some people comment that. For me, when you humble yourself in a problem like that, that seems to take almost make almost everybody mad.
Okay, delegate, we are now slowly coming to an end of this program. Let me just ask you this question before moving to Quizito, then we conclude the program. Delegate, confessional schools, is sad to say they are not going, and it's sad to say that villages, there's that fear, that stigma in the minds of students and pupils. I sat on Tuesday last week in front of our studio. I saw a girl selling yaourt, and I called the child and I said, please, I would like to buy a yaourt on the condition that on Monday you go to school. The girl refused to sell to me, that she will not sell to me because she will not go to school. And I asked why. I said that because their teachers are not coming to school. Delegate, what have we done to teachers who deliberately refuse to resume classes effectively?
Well, the teachers have taken a contract with the government, first thing. And if you don't work, all of us are paid for the job you do. If you do not work, I think the only one person who can tell you what to do, what you will do, is the Minister of Secondary Education. For me, I find that I cannot say the Anglophones don't have a problem. The government has accepted. The government has not refused that the Anglophones have a problem. They have always accepted. And the teachers should know that whenever you are fighting, there is a limit to it. There is no fight that lasts forever. They will have all made the points. I am sure at this level, the government is sufficiently educated on what is happening in the teaching sector, especially as it concerns the Anglophone subsector. There is no need continuing to fight like a foolish man. I think that if we cannot perform our duties, we will be indirectly involved in destroying the system we want to build. Because what is happening now is that if we exaggerate in what we do, it means therefore that there is a secondary aim, and we have to blame ourselves for, instead of preparing for a better society, we are trying to destroy what we are out to prepare.
Mr. Isaac Kizito, your last word before we part company?
Well, my last word comes in as a piece of advice to the parents and the students out there. Please, let's put reasoning in front of us and do the right thing. I'll tell the students out there who are somehow scared that probably if they have some difficulties, they can come up to us. The delegation is there to receive them. If they wish, they can call me, we'll meet, we'll give them some guidance. Maybe I give them my contact if they wish. They can get me on 677-102011. That's 677-102011. Maybe when they get to me, 1:1, I will take them to the delegation for them to be better explained on why they should go to school, and giving them the assurance that exams will be written. I will even guide them on how to attend their classes hitch-free and security-free.
Delegate Regional, your last word before we go, just briefly, the last word before we go, and the primary school seems to be grounded. I know you are not the basic.
Yes. I want to make students know one thing. Because we are now dealing with the unknown. If you said certificates will not be valid, if you say you will not go to school because those who are going to school have not had a job, why do you go to church? We go to church because we fear the unknown. I know that if I don't go to church now, when I die, I will go to hellfire, as my pastor says. Now, if you don't go to school now, what will happen to you in future? If the fear of the known has made us to be cowards in ourselves, it will make us not to take decisions that we should take. What is happening, what I'm saying is that let students know that if they refuse to go to church now, if they refuse to go to school now, they will be destroying themselves. If I said, what do we look at in the world here? Those who have prospered very high are those who go to school. Why do you refuse yourself from this prosperity? So I'm appealing to all the students to go back. They should not be afraid. Have the certificate and prove us wrong. If it will not be proved, if it will not be valid, that is when you will have us to blame. But if you don't have it and the rest are valid, will you have anybody to blame? No. I want students to go to school. It is for your interest. There is nothing that the father can give to you which is as good as education. And for the girls, you know, the best husband for a girl is her education. Who would now take a girl who will only come to the house and is only finishing the food in the kitchen? So they should also actively contribute. And the only way to contribute is if you go to school. Many husbands now are not prepared to go injured for anything. Please make yourself a useful person in the society by going to school. And that's the appeal I'm making to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the delegate for secondary education for the Southwest region. Well, viewers, it is on this note we have finally come to an end on today's edition of our program. But meantime, you can still contact us in terms of sponsorship for the program on the numbers on your screen, or you seek to advertise in the course of the program, the numbers on your screen. You can get to Mr. Isaac Kizito on the numbers he has given you, and you can go to the regional delegation for secondary education in case you need clarification. Delegate, thank you once more for coming. It's a privilege to have you. Mr. Isaac Kizito Mbong, it's a privilege to have you.
It's my pleasure.
We know it's a very busy week for fear of the unknown. Viewers, thank you very much. Just to make this clarification that the confessional schools state that their doors remain widely open for parents to send their children to school, and the government equally have been doing its best to clamor for students to return to school. The regional delegates study clear that classes have effectively started, and that all students should go to school. And equally, the governor of the Southwest region, Benau Kalabilai, and the division officer Boya Kwamokan Paul made it clear that security is guaranteed for those who will be going to school, and those that have been going to school, they have constantly been secured. And the registrar of the GCE board says that the exam is going to take place. That is Humphrey. We have Dr. Humphrey Ekema. Monono made it clear. Please stop calling us. I have been your humble host, Mike Jarvis. In case you missed this program, you can get to us on a rebroadcast on the Tuesday at 5 p.m., Friday at 10 p.m., Saturday 3 p.m., Tuesday 5 p.m., Saturday 3 p.m., and Friday 10 p.m. Until then, I'll be there to you, and bye-bye from this end. We'll keep the discussion ongoing next week. We'll look at the other side of the story. We'll be right back in next week.